Okay, we're getting more in line with the water tower. And this is probably what a newer one built where the old one used to be. Would have been one of those like metal looking water towers. But it would have been the water tower for West Salem. And in the vision I saw of Grandma in her room at the insane asylum, she could see the old water tower from her room. Direct line. So now we're coming up behind the baseball fields. I'm pretty sure this is where the old asylum was. Again, it was like 3 or 4 stories, 2 gigantic wings, and where I am walking right now is probably about where one of the barns was, maybe the yellow barn that I saw. Grandma had a room looking this way, out at the bluffs of La Crosse in West Salem. Beyond the trees is a lake, but you can't see them because of the trees. But it is a beautiful area. At least Grammy had a beautiful place. But they didn't know shit back then. Pretty sure my grandmother suffered from an autistic collapse because my grandpa was such a fucking mean bastard. And he was spanking his 2 older children because they dirtied their diaper and they were under 2. And then she got pregnant, my grandmother, with my dad. And I think she freaked out. She couldn't bear the idea of bringing a 3rd child into an abusive home. Both of them were so studied with religion too. But my grandpa warped his fucking religion. He was such a mean bastard. I still hate him. He's dead. But he tore my dad's family apart. He drove his wife insane. And this is probably somewhere around here that I'm walking, where her room was, where she probably died alone. Because the water tower is right there. And in my vision that I saw of Grandma looking out her window, the water tower was just off to the side like that and was about that distance away. I bet the building was a little bit, maybe like where this fence is. Maybe that's the remains of the old building. I'm gonna go look at this. Maybe that is where the old West Salem Insane Asylum stood. Oh my God, and they just left the basement. Is that a possibility? It looks like it's a bog now, but why do they have it fenced off? I have no idea. I bet this is where the old building stood. I bet they didn't bother to remove the rubble. So they fenced it up and let it turn into a marsh. This would be about the size of the old building, the footprint from what I've seen of the old pictures of the West Salem. I bet you $10,000 this is where the old building stood. I mean, I'd like to maybe talk to someone who knows more about it, but it's right before the trees. If you go down past the trees, you're going to see the lake. But Grandma, fuck, this is where her room was. Oh my God. This is probably the last view she saw before she died. Jesus fucking Christ. And there was a big yellow barn right about where that light right behind the light post, and then the old water tower. Bunch of little red buildings. I've drawn it. It's on my YouTube and TikTok, so you guys can see it. I actually have used AI to make Grandma talk, and I got a voice that I bet sounds a hell of a lot like her. But guys, this is when my grandmother was locked up for having autistic collapse, and then they pulled her teeth out in this goddamn fucking building that they tore down because they thought that's how you deal with someone who's having a mental health crisis, who was doing everything she could and she thought she probably married the man of her life, her dreams. And then he turned out to be a fucking nightmare. And my dad died still having the nightmare of being terrorized by his dad because, of course, my dad wouldn't let my grandmother's family keep him and his brother and sister. My dad stole my father right out from their yard. They probably lived on the other side of the bluffs. My grandmother's family. My stupid ass grandpa probably stole my dad on the other side of that thing from his farm, and then brought him up in terror and cruelty that stayed with him for the 83 years that he lived. And the trauma was passed on to me and my brothers and my mother. We're trauma healers, guys. We are fucking trauma healers. And this has to be where the old asylum stood. And the other parts, probably the red barn, stood over where this field was. If this isn't where the old thing was, which I think it was, because I think it was there, because if we go over to this field, the water tower shifts to this side of me, my right. And the water tower my grandmother looked out at was not to my right. Although there could have been an older water tower that was over there further. But I don't think so. I think the city probably built the new tower very close to where the old tower was. So I think this field is probably where the other parts of the building was. It is possible the old asylum was in that field there, but I don't think so. I think the old building that they put the mentally sick people in is right there where that bat thing is, and the slough. This is it. There's my husband, my dog. All right, guys. That's the tour.